Hey everyone, we are really glad you've taken the step to start a group. Here's what we found. Whenever a new group starts, it really helps for everyone to be on the same page about what they expect. See, people join groups for different reasons. Maybe your reason for joining this group was to study and better understand the Bible, or maybe it was to make new friends, or maybe it was to connect with others who are facing the same challenges that you're facing right now in your life. What I want you to know is that a small group isn't any one of those things. It should be all of them. The goal of a group is to provide for everyone the opportunity to connect relationally and grow spiritually. See, this group, it isn't a Bible class, but you're going to pray together and you're going to study and you're going to discuss how to apply the Bible to your life. And it isn't a support group where you just vent all your emotions and all your frustrations about life, but it is a place where you can open up about what's really going on in your life and then give other members of your group the permission to encourage you and challenge you to grow. Finally, I just want to say this group isn't a social club, but it is going to be a place where you develop and you deepen some friendships that I think might, for some of you, last for the rest of your life. See, the goal of this group is to create an opportunity for you to pursue healthy relationships and spiritual growth. Now, here's why this is important. You can't grow spiritually without being connected relationally. And in this conversation today, we're going to explore how the two are connected. So let me just start by encouraging you. This is going to be worth it. And you go, how do you know it's going to be worth it for me to be in a group? Because I've been in some type of small group for most of my adult life, and it is one of the primary ways that God has grown my faith. Now, here's what I know. Not every group experience that I've had has been perfect, but they have all been very helpful. So I can tell you from personal experience that circles matter as much as rows. See, groups are where you can process how to apply what you're learning. You can ask the hard questions. And in those moments when you're not so sure, you can even speak up and say, hey, I'm not really sure I'm buying that. Now, one of the things about groups also is that groups are a lot like investing in retirement. You probably won't leave any group meeting feeling like you've made these huge, big leaps in your faith and your growth. But here's the thing I know. Small deposits made consistently over a period of time, they compound into exponential growth. In fact, the writer of Hebrews, he encourages us to do this. When he writes these words in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24 and 25, he says, let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. I want you to think about that. Let's think of ways to do that, and groups help to make that happen. Then he goes on, he says, and let us not neglect our meeting together as some do, but encourage one another. So groups is a way that we can do this for each other. Now, our goal for groups, it is to create an opportunity, as he said, for you to pursue healthy relationships and spiritual growth. Now, other than your family, and here's why that's such an important goal for groups, is that these people in your group are going to be the people who are going to celebrate the milestones that you're going to experience over the next few months. They're the people who are going to support you through your struggles, and they're the people who are going to encourage you to keep growing. You see, there are things that can't happen, or that can happen, I should say, in circles that can't happen any other place, and that's by design. God created us where we can't grow spiritually unless we are connected relationally. So congratulations on circling up. You've taken the most important first step, and you're going to be really glad that you did, because life is better when we do it together. So I hope and I pray that this group becomes a community that supports you relationally and also in your spiritual growth. So the question maybe you're asking is, well, what's my role in making this happen? Because you do have a role. Well, the first thing I want to encourage you to do is show up. Make attending a group a priority. See, consistency is key to connecting with each other. The second thing is join in. Speak up when you have thoughts. Ask questions that you might have. And then the last thing and the third thing is be real. Let people know what's really going on in your life. I mean, trust your group and give them permission to ask you how you're really doing. So show up, join in, and be real. They are the keys to developing healthy relationships in group. They are the foundation of spiritual growth. Now, for just a moment, I want to talk about spiritual growth and why it matters and then how you grow. So first, let's just answer the question, what is spiritual growth? Well, spiritual growth is any decision that you make to do what Jesus says. Or anytime you choose to believe what Jesus says or behave like Jesus would, then you're growing spiritually. And you might ask, well, how do I measure spiritual growth? Well, it's actually pretty simple. The Apostle Paul, he gives us a great explanation in a letter that he wrote to some first century Christians who were arguing about what rules to follow in order to earn God's favor. And the Apostle Paul, he set them straight when he wrote these words in Galatians chapter 5, verse 6. He says, the only thing that counts, and what is the only thing that counts? He says, is faith expressing itself in love. You might ask, well, what is faith? How does faith express itself? Well, faith is trust. It's kind of easy in our culture to focus on just doing certain activities because we live in a performance-based world. But the Apostle Paul reminds us spiritual growth is actually about relationships. It's about trust. Because see, trust is the foundation for any healthy relationship. So every time you trust God and you do what he says when it doesn't make sense or when it means you have to step out of your comfort zone or when it's not what you want to do, then you are growing your faith. So you might ask, why does having a growing faith matter? Well, because every time your faith in God grows, your love for others grows as well. In fact, the Apostle Paul, when he said that in Galatians 5, he says, the only thing that counts is faith or trust that expresses itself through love. So your faith, what he's saying is your faith doesn't just impact you, it impacts everybody around you. So spiritual growth isn't about how much you know, it's about how well you love others, which leads us to the next question. Well, how does my faith grow? Well, we've talked to a lot of people about their spiritual growth over the years, and we've found some common themes. There are basically 5 faith catalysts that God seems to use to grow our faith in him. The first faith catalyst is practical teaching. So you start listening to a pastor who explains the Bible in a way that makes sense to you and you know how to apply it, or you do a Bible study that helps you know what to do with what you're learning. That's what we call practical teaching. There's application with it. Now, the second faith catalyst is what we call private disciplines. There are spiritual habits like reading your Bible and praying and giving. These are all private disciplines that you do, but they are habits that you practice that teach you how to trust God more. And then the third faith catalyst is what we call providential relationships. It seems that we all have people that God has placed in our lives at different times, and they were there in the perfect season, and it helped us to grow or it challenged us to change. That's what we call a providential relationship. Now, the fourth is what we call personal ministry. What is personal ministry? Well, it's something like you start serving at a church or in some other capacity, and you discover that you grow when you help others grow. That's what we call personal ministry. And then the fifth faith catalyst is what we call pivotal circumstance. It's the joys and the challenges of life that God uses to build and strengthen your trust in him. Those are pivotal circumstances. In fact, in my story, God has used those 5 catalysts over and over and over to build my trust and grow my faith in him. And here's what I've discovered. When my faith grows, it makes every area of my life better, including my relationships. And so just to encourage you, don't forget, any step forward is growth and every step forward is progress. See, sometimes we look for these big leaps of spiritual growth, but most of the time it's just simple movements toward trusting Jesus more and more that really makes a difference in our life. And so this group is going to provide you a lot of opportunities to take some next steps in trusting Jesus in your faith and in your life. And I just believe that your group and your group leader are going to help you continue to grow in your relationship with God and others. So right now, your group leader is going to facilitate a conversation around the discussion guide. as well as some group expectations. And let me just say, group expectations are 5 expectations that, when honored by each member, they contribute to you experiencing healthy relationships and spiritual growth. Now, it's time to discuss today's content. I hope you enjoy your conversation. I'm going to be praying for you that you have a very rich group experience.